Hello, friends. Today I want to share one of the most beautiful books ever written called Owl Moon by Jane Yolen. I always hope that someday I can go out just like these kids do, owling, and see an owl by the light of the moon. Let's go on that special walk. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out trains and dogs for a real long time, and when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on toward the woods, Pa and I. Look who's watching him, the fox. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short, round shadow bumped along after me. But you never call out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been wanting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. This is a very special day. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy across the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called out, "Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!" The sound of the great gray owl. "Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!" Again he called out, and then again, and after each call, he was silent. And for a moment we both listened, but there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said that sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. Look who's peeking out of this hole. Little raccoon. We walked on, and I could feel the cold as if someone's icy hand and palm was going down on my back, and my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the very same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. Have to be quiet. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. They stained the white snow, and my mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than milk in a cereal bowl. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf, over my mouth, and listened hard. And then Pa called out, "Hoo-hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo-hoo!" I listened, and I looked so hard my ears hurt, and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. "Hoo-hoo-hoo!" Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo," just as if he and the owl were talking about supper or about the woods or the moon or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf, off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. So excited. The owl's call came closer from high up in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl's shadow, part of the long, big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. "Hoo, hoo, hoo!" Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. Wow. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Look at that great horned owl. Isn't he magnificent? Then the owl pumped his great wings, lifted off the branch like a shadow without a sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud, but I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that flies on silent wings under the shining owl moon. What a magnificent story. What an amazing thing to experience. A moment when you connect eyes with an animal like a great horned owl. It's a rare moment that you never ever forget. I hope someday you'll get to go owling out in our great forest at McNaughton Park. I have seen great horned owls there silhouetted on the branches, but to me, seeing them fly overhead would be one of the greatest experiences of my life. I hope that you get to share that too. But even if you don't, we can share the thrill through reading this very beautiful, exciting book. Have a great day, and don't forget to be on the lookout for animals in our world and enjoy connecting with the world around you. Great gifts of Mother Earth.